Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Rob Ford's natal chart part 2. As you saw in the previous episode, I did part 1, and this will be the continuation of it. So let me get started. Another thing I found interesting in Rob Ford's natal chart was he has Taurus intercepted in the first house. Now, this could kind of make his personality somewhat enigmatic because he has Aries on the cusp of the first, but he has Taurus the whole 30 degrees intercepted. And, it gives him, it's going to give him maybe a number of Aries characteristics, obviously, since that's his ascendant. However, the fact that Taurus is 30 degrees in that first house, it's actually about 90% of that house is comprised of Taurus. So that's still going to impact his personality. And I think maybe that's why I might have thought he was Taurus rising prior to looking his chart up on AstroTheme and finding out it was very late Aries at 29 degrees. So, he might vacillate a little bit. Sometimes you might see that, that certain aggressive, forceful Aries personality. Then you see the more kind of docile, passive Taurus nature from time to time. Again, his chart, it seems like in summation, it's just a lot of, disparity, and fluctuation between the aggressive and passive, nature. Another thing, he has Saturn conjunct the ascendant, and even though we see him as very aggressive, which is attributed largely to the Aries rising, I believe, his personality may be somewhat inhibited. The nature may be very stern, stoic, and serious. It could also have a melancholy streak. Despite his aggressive Aries ascendant, at times he may be prone to apprehension and be reluctant to take action in certain areas of his life. He might think that, all life is just a lot of arduous, laborious effort and, not much, not a whole lot of overabundance for fun time. Next thing I want to talk about, he has Mars in the 8th house. And similar to Mars and Scorpio, these people can, at times may have a propensity to be explosive and volatile, and often this could be attributed to suppression of anger for a prolonged period of time. His sexual relationships may be very intense and sometimes combative, maybe. Another thing I've noticed that he has 6 conjunctions in his chart, and anybody I think that has even at least 3 or 4 conjunctions in their chart can have that tendency, to have a little acrimonious side to their nature due to the friction of the conjunctions in the horoscope and the plethora of them. And on the positive side, this can show much persistence and single-minded focus. However, as I stated before, it can also incline one to be somewhat acrimonious, and that increasing depending upon the amount of conjunctions that the person has. He has 6, so that's a pretty good amount. And you have all that attributed to the planets being close together, I believe, and all that friction that's created. I want to talk a little bit about what might see as far as his forecast being futuristic. Right now he has transiting Pluto conjunct the midheaven. So obviously this might explain to some degree why he's experiencing an inordinate amount of upheavals, changes occurring in his career, related things, and also it conjuncts his Sun in Gemini, which is Sun in Gemini is in his 2nd house of income and resources. So we might see some changes with fluctuations going on with his income and resources. When Pluto generally is transiting and it adversely affects a planet or more, it often indicates changes that we don't necessarily want to make and don't have a lot of enthusiasm in making, but it almost compels or forces us to make these changes that we don't want. And I could see this happening right now, very soon, maybe with Rob Ford. Also, his I could see how, like I said, it's going to impact his income and career matters, I believe. Also, his the transiting Sun is going to be conjunct his part of fortune on December 4th of this year, 2013. And this could indicate something could significantly impact his fortunes, one way or another. And now, as most of you know, he has the majority of, now I don't know if it's the majority, but he has a very strong percentage of his powers have been stripped right now as mayor of Toronto. And could this be the time when maybe he officially steps down completely? I would look, let's see, it's going to be an interesting period, once we get around December 1st and, around that time to December 7th, 8th, that first week of December could be a telling point in his life, and maybe, connected with his position as mayor of Toronto. In the latter part of May 2013, Uranus will be, transiting Uranus will be conjunct Ford's first house within, I'm using the 10 degrees, that's discretional. Some people would say 8 degrees when it's conjunct. I'm saying because the ascendant is involved, I say, 10 degrees. And perhaps he will go through some kind of transformation and metamorphosis physically. He might really start, maybe working out, strongly vigorous exercise. Perhaps it's when he really embarks on this tremendous, weight loss program. But I see some kind of change as far as him personally in his appearance, maybe around this time in the latter part of May of 2015. So, anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment for part 2 of Rob Ford's natal chart. Something I want to get with you on before I head out on a non-astrological note pertaining to Rob Ford. I'd like to say that, I understand this video probably isn't going to get an inordinate amount of views. It's not exactly going to go viral. And right now, it's not coming up on Google search results, I guess, because I just put it out there. Maybe it will in the next day or two. If anybody, the odds are anybody seeing this isn't going to be connected directly, indirectly to Rob Ford. But if they can somehow, get the message out there to him, if by some minuscule chance somebody sees it that has some connection with him, reinforce, this, what he already understands, but might not be listening, is that I believe it might be somewhat it is somewhat speculation, but my theory is, my thinking is that his problem that he has is worse than what he's divulging, and encourage him to get some help. He seems like he's an okay person. He just seems like he's going on, taking some wrong avenues in life, and I believe he's probably, we don't always haven't seen it in recent, recent footage of him, but we see him acting kind of an outlandish, outrageous, manner, but there's obviously there are some problems he's going through, and he needs to get some assistance, connected with pertaining to these problems. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the natal chart of Rob Ford, part 2. And tune in next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Pluto conjunct the midheaven in a natal horoscope. Until next time, people, stay well.